The outcome of a year-long trial for a controversial new flight path for Auckland Airport will be delivered today. Residents who live in the city suburbs of One Tree Hill, Epsom, Mount Roskill, Onehunga and Royal Oak say they've had to endure extensive noise disruption during the test run of the new smart route.
You can get used to anything, but we are used to having very quiet suburbs, and we bought our houses in areas that didn't have planes making these noises. And yes, the trial is limited to 10 flights a day, but as soon as that trial ends, there are 40 flights a day that could be coming over the top of us.
Joining me now live from Onehunga is Maungakeke MP Sam Lotuenga, who will attend the meeting this afternoon. Good morning to you. Tell me, you live in this suburb. How disruptive and noisy have these flights been?
Well, good morning, Nadine. And I've got a lot of responses from local residents, saying that it has been disruptive, that it's impinged on their quality of life and how they go about their day-to-day activities. So, I take those complaints seriously, and I've been working with the airport and with the airlines in order to find out, what is creating the angst.
There has been some testing done, I understand, by an acoustic engineer who, and his results indicated that the noise was barely discernible above normal levels. Is that not the case?
Well, I think there's been a lot of testing done, and we are going to look at the data across the whole year in which the trials have been conducted. And, we need to assess the data as a whole, look at the noise levels, look at the environmental effects as well, and also take into account, the responses and the feedback of local residents, and that's really important. A report will be due out in March where the public will be able to give feedback on the findings of this assessment or the data analysis, and then a decision will be made later next year in terms of whether the smart approach is implemented long term.
To be fair, is it a little bit of a case of the old not in my backyard? Because the old flight route that takes longer and uses more fuel went over other people's houses as well.
Well, that's been the argument in terms of reducing the noise over a wider area of Auckland. But as I said at the outset, I take the complaints and the queries of local residents very seriously. Some have come to me, in real disappointment, and it's affected the peaceful enjoyment of their land and their property. And I think we've got to take that seriously. We've got to do the independent and objective analysis around the noise levels as well as the environmental effects, and and then have an assessment as to whether these smart approaches should be used long term. And that decision will be made by Airways Corporation, the airports, and those airlines.
I guess it is a little bit hard to be objective when it's right over your backyard. Is there anything that these residents can do if the airport decides to go with this route?
Well, as I said, they'll have an opportunity to give feedback to the process in March when an initial report will be done. And look, I live myself in the area. I'm affected, and I'm confident that the process, the objective process in analysing the data will provide a forum for local residents to give feedback and have a voice in this matter.
But Sam, would you be happy if the flight path does continue to go over your house?
Well, they were going over my house for a year, and they've gone over half of my electorate, and some have complained and some haven't. But we need to go through with that process. That process is really important. It does take into account noise, environmental effects, as well as the peaceful enjoyment of local residents and their properties, and that's really important. We need to get that feedback in.
Yep, I can see you're sitting on the fence there. Thank you very much for your time this morning. That is the MP for Maungakeke, Sam Lotuenga.